Yeah, that's who I was talking about.
I'm right here.
I'm sorry. Read my wife.
Yeah.
Welcome, residents, to the Dr. DC podcast. My name is producer Richard, and next to me is the doctor himself.
Hello.
Each week, we talk about the weird and wonderful world of DC while fielding questions from listeners just like you.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, just like you. Hey, you.
Hey.
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 Hey, you. With your headphones in.
Put it down.
No, keep listening.
Speaking of people who are listening, we are joined today by returning guest and one of my true favorites to pick on, Chicken Maddie.
Matthew Poulter.
I hardly know her.
Uh,
Oh my god.
the joke comes out every time, and every time I find myself asking, why do I do this?
Thank you for coming back.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, it's great to be here, I'm sure.
I love by the time a guest comes on the show 3 times, their introductory sound is just a sigh.
And somehow I got convinced to do this again.
Yeah. You told me there
Every
would be
time.
sandwiches.
Yeah, this isn't catered. This is bullshit.
Well, it's funny.
It's catered on this end. But
It's funny. This is one that Matt and I have talked about doing for a while now because, like, maybe before COVID, even
really?
I was like,
I think you're right.
I was like, hey, have you read Metal?
Yeah.
And then and he was like, where should I start? And I was like, oh, just read Metal, just read Scott Snyder's entire Justice League run, get the tie-ins, Death Metal's coming out. I just started
Yeah.
naming all these things.
Yeah, it's fine.
So he's just been accumulating stuff. How much of that stuff did you end up actually getting?
I mean, at this point, I haven't dove into death metal yet because, as I've mentioned on previous appearances, I'm very much like a trades kind of person. I don't buy like individual issues usually, but at this point, yeah, I think I've collected all the trades so far up to date of not just Dark Knight's metal and the stuff leading up to it, but also all of Snyder's Justice League and Justice League Dark from Tynion, and my wallet's been really angry at me the last year.
Well, as long as there's nothing going on externally in the world that would prevent financial gain to be.
Yeah, nothing at all. Like, what could possibly do that?
Listen, this is a great time to invest in books.
Is that our ad for your local library?
Technically, that's true, but only if you're investing in like a publisher, not just buying a bunch of books.
Oh no. I need to make some calls.
So, I mean, we talk about this not on a podcast all the time, but what are some of the things that you have enjoyed or liked so far in reading this sort of like giant kind of scope Snyder stuff that he's been doing, the metal stuff and the Justice League stuff?
Well, it's actually kind of funny because my interest in this starts kind of even before all of this kind of came along, because what's interesting to me is that Scott Snyder and Batman especially kind of like really kind of signal in kind of when I got back into superhero comics personally, because it was around the time that the New 52 was going on that I met a very good friend of mine who happens to, at the time, worked at one of the better comic book stores in my neck of the woods, which is sadly no longer around. But it was a case of, like she knew her stuff, so I was like, okay, I like Batman, what should I read and stuff, and I'd done Year One and Dark Knight Returns and Long Halloween and all that sort of stuff. But then she was the one like, oh, as it turns out, one of the few DC series that isn't trash right now is Scott Snyder's Batman. And I was like, okay, I have no idea who that is, but I'll check it out. And then pretty much right away, I was like, oh yeah, this is really, really good. So kind of proceeded to grab like a bunch of Snyder's other stuff in the interim, like a lot of his horror comics and whatnot, like stuff like American Vampire and Severed and Witches and a bunch of that. And I mean, I love his Batman run, but I especially love him as a horror writer. So
Yeah.
when he was first starting to talk about metal and mentioning like, oh, like cosmic horror in the DC universe, I was like, okay, yeah, this is going to be good.
Plus, you're also like a metal guy. Like
Yeah,
you
yes,
you like metal, like the
The music?
Yeah.
I'm sure the audience can tell from this audio format, but yes, like all you really need to know my taste in music is my everything about me. But yeah, absolutely. As soon as he was like, "Oh, I'm gonna call this series metal," I was like, "Okay, you're like this is." I'm not
Go
usually
on.
catered. I was like, I'm not usually catered to this directly in
Well, yeah,
anything.
I mean,
So
because Greg Capullo has that same sort of like sensibility, and then when they put that first like cover out or whatever, and it was like the rock symbol, but with the Justice League members in different positions
yeah,
of the hand, I was like, oh man, they mean it. They mean like metal. Like,
yeah, and I mean, even just like it's so fascinating the aesthetic of it to me because it's like it's so Lovecraftian horror in so many ways, which like I imagine we might talk about like somewhere down the line. But I mean, it's that, but also like significantly less racist, but also
yeah.
like yeah, it's got this great art sensibility where like like entire panels of these comics just look like album covers. And I mean like Barbatos's design looks like something that could come straight off of like I don't know, like an Emperor album or something like that. Like that it's just
Yeah.
it's awesome.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Well, I mean, let's not beat around the bush. We're talking about the Dark Multiverse today.
Oh yeah. So dark. So many.
So many verses.
Is the multiverse presented by Rick James in the sense that it is darkness?
Oh God. Wow. We were talking about Chappelle quotes. There you go. There you go. There it is.
I just today saw a shot from like a previous Comic-Con or something of a guy fully dressed up in the Chappelle depiction of Prince, and I've been laughing about it all day.
That's great.
That's amazing.
I love that.
That's really funny. Yeah, no, we're going to talk about the Dark Multiverse. It's this thing that we first were introduced to in metal. It's stuck around since. We've gotten hints of its repercussions through this Snyder Justice League run and through a bunch of other books. We're in the middle of death metal right now. Let's dive in. This is a relatively new piece of the cosmic puzzle for DC, but we got a ton of questions.
Yeah, we did. Why don't we go over to Facebook?
Go into the face and the book. Go into the Facebook.
That's right. And the first question comes from We've Only Just done, who asks, can we abbreviate the Dark Multiverse to the DMV? Also, evil Batman fatigue aside, would you like the DMV to remain part of DC lore going forward, or would you like to close the book on it for a while?
All right. So first things first. We've had a motion to shorten the Dark Multiverse to the DMV.
I guess my follow-up question would be: is reading the Dark Multiverse like an arduous task that takes time out of your life and you regret it?
See, now this is the interesting thing. Do you feel like the Dark Multiverse stuff has been a slog? Because I don't. I actually think it's the opposite of the DMV.
I mean the God, reading it no, because like I mean it's like you said, there are times I'm barely even able to like follow along sometimes because it just moves so quickly. But the Dark Multiverse in and of itself is like a hellish, blighted landscape from which there was no escape. So
right.
if that isn't the DMV, then what is? But
fair,
right. Yeah, right. Interesting. Yeah, I mean, I guess. Yeah, I guess we will call it the DMV.
Yeah.
Hey, DMV. Now it stands for Dark Multiverse.
Get lost.
Yeah. The second part of that question, though. So aside from, I think a lot of people that have been reading all the way through this are starting to get a little bit of the fatigue of, because most of the Dark Multiverse characters we've seen are just corruptions of Batman. And
yeah,
just quickly for the people that maybe have not caught up, the Dark Multiverse is like another aspect to the cosmos in DC that's basically made up of worlds and stories that are quote unquote broken and they're not meant to last. The worlds that are stable become the regular multiverse. These are all meant to be like nightmares, fears, stuff like that. They're never meant to stick around. So we're introduced to a bunch of like, it's a Bat Doomsday, and that's from one Dark Multiverse Earth, or like a Bat Flash or Bat Lantern, or all these sort of like amalgam or corrupted or different versions of Batman. But that's really most of what we've seen, even though there are those versions of every character down there.
Is that what's going on here? Is that what's happening at our world? We're in one of those worlds that shouldn't have made it?
I think there's a lot of evidence to suggest that our real world is part of the Dark Multiverse.
I wouldn't doubt it at this point. Not after this year.
Yeah, exactly. So aside from maybe the bat fatigue, is this like a concept, a thing that you enjoy, Matt? Is this something you would want to see stick around or be further explored?
So I'm going to give the cop-out answer of both yes and no. Like, I mean, on the one hand, it's a concept with limitless potential, in my opinion, and like I that's always been kind of an interesting thing about comics in general, is it is the medium of big ideas, and big ideas that have a lot of different facets to them. And in that respect, like, yeah, I'd love to see Dark Multiverse versions of like all sorts of different characters, and also like just seeing all the different stuff. Like, it would make for a great anthology series if nothing else. And in fact, like the of like the collected editions of Metal that I probably enjoyed the most was the one just exploring like the origins of the different bat people that show up in the main event.
Yeah.
So in that sense, I think it's a great concept to keep bringing back. But on the other hand, and this is kind of some of my own personal interest coming out, it really delves deep into cosmic horror a bunch throughout the whole thing, as I mentioned before. And cosmic horror it's amazing, but the problem with it is that like the more you interact with it, the less unknown it becomes, and the less unknown it becomes, the less scary it is.
Yeah.
And like that's the thing I really enjoy about the main Metal storyline, is that I really would argue that the reader is just as scared as the characters are as these events are going on, because it's all these horrific things crossing over. And I mean, even just the design of a character like the Batman Who Laughs is just so like horrifying and just kind of like really off-putting. And I think if you abuse anything like this, or if you just use it too much, then it loses that impact, it loses that scare factor, and as a result it just maybe kind of loses its impact. And so I don't know, like it's the kind of thing where I think there's tons of potential for it, but I also think it could really easily just be made stupid if they use it too much.
Yeah, my feeling, I think, is sort of similar. I think like after Death Metal, I'd like to take a break from like literally exploring the Dark Multiverse, just get some breathing space between us and how inundated we've been with it. But as like a concept that like you have the positive matter multiverse, and you have a Monitor there, you have an antimatter universe on the fringes of reality, and you have the anti-Monitor there, and then you have this dark multiverse, which is way more vast in the way that dark matter in real life is way more vast than regular matter. And you have all this sort of potential. And down at the bottom there, you have the World Forger, this guy that's like literally like hammering an anvil to create stories and worlds. Like that idea, I fucking love. I think it's amazing. And so I just want to know it exists without necessarily having to explore every corner of it, kind of like what you're saying.
Yeah, it's I don't know. It's one of those things where I think geek culture in general is kind of reaching this point where once we always wanted an origin for everything, and we wanted everything to like have a background to it and to be explained. Like I think in many ways a lot of writers and a lot of just aspects of this culture in general are starting to kind of realize that like leaving some things unknown leads to better storytelling.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I agree.
Awesome. Let's go to the next question, which means we're leaving Facebook and we're heading on over to Twitter.
Twitter.
First question comes from, it's Jake Murphy.
I did not know where that sound was going. I was on edge.
I was a little afraid.
Jake Murphy.
I mean,
Gong.
Listen,
Jake Murphy.
203 episodes. We had a good run.
It's Jake Murphy.
Richard, you can't do this, man. You're gonna get sent to Cancelvania with all the other comedians
Well, I
and
didn't
whatnot.
realize that.
Cancelvania is a
That's
very,
very
fun
funny.
word.
Yeah, I love that a lot. But I also didn't realize that making fun of Irish people was a problem. Is that a new issue? Gwong. Jake Murphy.
I'm glad that you also recognized though that like oh sound you made was like not clear. I really thought you were going for. I didn't know what was happening.
Just doing my
Maybe
Irish
this is
accent.
the Dark Multiverse. This is the broken reality where you finally snap. You go on like a racist tirade on air.
Jake Murphy asks, what would Dark Multiverse variations of previous Dial Talk characters look like? I don't know who
What characters?
What's a what?
Yeah, God.
Do
Feels familiar, but
Matt, do you have any idea?
I think there was something about bodily fluids. Like, was that a
On this
recurring
podcast?
theme?
No.
Yeah.
I can't.
I
say.
mean, if I were going to come up with one about bodily fluids,
sorry,
I might suggest like
what could come up with?
I don't know, man.
come up. Maybe you could say like, "I'm gonna come," and then a bucket of spooge from the sky would drop on him, and he'd become Cum Man. You know, like Shazam, but with cum.
Oh yeah.
So then, what would
This is the most original concept ever.
what would a Dark Multiverse version be?
Bloody cum man.
Oh. No, I don't.
I mean, hey! If you want to keep in with the metal theme, Cannibal Corpse very infamously have a song entitled "I Come Blood." So
See,
All right, there you go.
bloody cum man.
Oh, Jesus.
What about
You know, I kind of thought maybe this was fun to answer. and
what?
now I'm
Okay,
not
I
so
got it.
sure.
No, what if there's like a guy, but he can like produce bicycles whenever he wanted?
Yeah, like he could pull them out of like an archive. Like
Yeah.
a file.
Yeah,
Like
like,
a-
pedal file.
Yeah, like a pedal file.
What would be the Dark Multiverse version of that?
I don't know. I'd argue that is.
What? Maybe what could like sound the same but be a worse thing?
Okay, here. I'm going to tell you what the Dark Multiverse version is. It's not just that he can summon any bike. It's that he's stealing bikes from children. Specifically.
from children that he's not otherwise involved with in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, that's the subtext. Yeah.
Did you want me to help shoveling, or did you want to just keep doing it?
This question is horrifying. This question is a Dark Multiverse question.
I think they knew what they were doing.
They goddamn what?
Is this person's name an anagram of something like "I am Barbatos" or something like that? Like, does their display pic change into a creepy hooded figure with bat ears if you stare at it too long?
Tom Barbatos Riddle.
I mean, if this really was the Dark Multiverse, next you'd have James Remar show up on the show or something like that. You know?
How dare you? How dare you?
Oh, I think maybe my finest achievement.
What achievement? This wouldn't happen. We're in the good multiverse, right?
Yeah.
Guys, I need this right now. This whole year it's just been a thing.
I know, right? I feel like we need to claw our way into the light.
Jesus. Let's go to the next question.
Sure.
Thank you, Jake. Gwang. Oh, I'm a Jake Murphy. I like a spaghetti because I'm Irish.
Can you be racist if you're dumb?
I mean,
Isn't that
by
the
definition,
type
often.
of people that are racist?
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah. By definition, that kind of goes hand in hand.
Yeah, fair enough. You're right.
You know what? Maybe it's your birthday. You get a different one of these because it's organ night.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Or you get it in a different place.
Yeah. Yeah. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then I'm the knight of this dark.
Oh no. What does Organ Knight ask?
Organ
Lord.
Knight asks, are the versions of the Anti-Monitor, Superboy Prime, and Darkseid shown in Death Metal, the Dark Multiverse versions of these characters?
Right. So, apologies, Matt. Slight spoilers for Death Metal ahead.
I'm leaving.
We're
You
gonna
know,
leave
I was fine with the casual racism, but I draw the line at spoilers.
Yeah,
Wow.
like a true geek.
I was gonna say, I'm like,
Yeah.
I didn't realize we had the internet on this episode.
Oh god. So the basic premise of death metal, without giving too much away, is that they believe that the only way to stop Perpetua and the Batman Who Laughs, now with the power of Dr. Manhattan, from completely destroying everything.
Yeah.
They need to go into the Dark Multiverse and go back to the original 3 crises and stop them from happening and collect that energy and use it to like recreate the multiverse, basically. That's a very, very quick paraphrase. So Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman go into the Dark Multiverse, and they go to these Dark Multiverse Earths where the crises are infinitely happening.
Almost like an infinite crisis.
So they go back to Crisis on Infinite Earths, Infinite Crisis, and Final Crisis.
Okay.
So Crisis on Infinite Earths, they encounter the Anti-Monitor. Infinite Crisis, Superboy Prime is there. Final Crisis, Darkseid is there. Those versions, though, they're not Dark Multiverse versions of those characters. That is the actual Anti-Monitor, the actual Superboy Prime, and the actual Darkseid sent to the Dark Multiverse, basically working at the behest of the Batman Who Laughs and Perpetua. So those are the real characters from the positive multiverse down in the dark, where their crises keep happening and where they keep winning. So you get these like versions of the crises that like don't end well.
Fair.
Yeah. So they're the actual multiverse versions of them, the actual positive multiverse versions of them.
Oh wow.
I loved watching Matt's face during that.
So you're telling me that Scott Snyder went in and listened to that "All I Do Is Win" song a whole bunch.
Yes.
And was just like, what if this but evil?
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, the
Perfect.
the tagline, the subtitle of death metal is that it's an anti-crisis, and that's sort of what they mean. They basically have to go and like undo these great events / redo their greatest victories in order to save everything.
Wow.
Yeah.
They really missed out on calling it Antichrist-sis, you know?
Antichrist superstar.
Oh
Damn
man,
it.
yeah.
We
Damn
did
it.
We did it, you guys.
God damn it. That's funnier than I wanted to be.
Matt, what time is it there?
It is 9:45.
Weird. I would have thought it would have been morning. I just heard the sound. It's the scream of a donkey. It must be morning, because the next question comes from Braydon.
Brandon, I'm pretty sure you and I have had this chat. I'm pretty sure I asked you to legally change your name.
I have. This is the second biggest reach I've seen in the presence of you two.
Okay, I'm curious. What's the first?
We don't talk about that night.
Is that what you were measuring before?
The first
Yes.
biggest reach is Richard trying to reach around me.
Yeah. Thank you for spelling that one out. I wanted to leave it mysterious, but no.
Braden asks, if the Dark Multiverse is our heroes, if the Dark Multiverse is our heroes' dark fears and thoughts come to life, does that mean there are dark Earths where villains like Lex Luthor, Joker, Black Adam, etc. are even worse than their mainstream counterparts? What are some concepts you would like to see come to life?
Yeah, Matt, what do you think? Because I think the Dark Multiverse is more than just evil something. Because there are evil something Earths in the main multiverse. Like Earth 3 has the crime syndicate. So the Dark Multiverse is more of like, yeah, nightmares, fears. What do you think like some of those villains, Earth's centered on them instead of centered on Batman? How would you see some of those things turning out?
Well, it's funny because my mind immediately goes to like, I mean, Dr. Jonathan Crane is having the time of his life in the Dark Multiverse.
Right, yeah.
Because
Yeah, it's true.
just like anyone who manipulates fear as a primary epicenter of their thing, like that's probably like I could see even just like a one-off issue where one of them just kind of crawls their way in there to go like, I just want to live here now. This is great. This is exactly what I've been wanting this whole time.
Oh, like the main, like the main continuity Scarecrow going to the Dark Multiverse.
Yeah,
just living there.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
I mean, like I said, what else would be better for him? Like a literal world of nightmares is kind of, though by the same token, it would also be interesting in the sense that, like, there's also the possibility, I think, for it, if it's representative of fears, there's that possibility that like it's kind of like certain depictions of hell where it's it's whatever you make of it sort of thing. So
Yeah.
maybe the Dark Multiverse for someone like Scarecrow is a universe where no one is afraid of anything.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's an interesting point that like maybe the Dark Multiverse Earths that are sort of spawned from the fears of heroes are about them going bad, or about these horrible scenarios where they lose or something awful happens. Maybe for a villain, the Dark Multiverse Earths, I think they still have to be nightmarish. They can't just be fine. But maybe them in those realities aren't necessarily more terrifying. Maybe they are just having to deal with what has happened. Like a Lex Luthor Dark Multiverse Earth, he might have killed Superman still, and then maybe aliens invade, they overrun. He's what does he have to become? What's his legacy is ruined, all this kind of stuff. Maybe that's like his Dark Multiverse Earth. So it's still scary and apocalyptic, but it's also playing on a Lex fear, not a Superman fear.
Or his dad never died.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. It's kind of that sort of Twilight Zone, kind of almost a morality play kind of idea of like, be careful what you wish for sort of thing.
Yeah. I do think that
like he was the last man on Earth, and suddenly his glasses broke, so he couldn't read all the books he was looking forward to.
Yeah. I mean, well, yeah, like that. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, this concept has sort of been touched on a little bit in the sort of process of death metal. There's an issue that came out called Multiverses End, and in it, Owlman, the evil Batman of Earth 3, is saying like, why wouldn't I want the multiverse to be destroyed? Why shouldn't I help the Batman Who Laughs? And ultimately, like, that it bothers him that these dark multiverse Batman are there. He's like, no, I'm the evil counterpart. And Joker has a thing like this too, where he sees the Batman Who Laughs as like an abomination. It's unnatural.
Yeah.
And that's the thing with the Dark Multiverse. These worlds are broken. They're meant to be temporary, and then they break apart, and their energies feed back to the World Forger, and he tries again with a new story. And eventually his story becomes stable enough to join the multiverse. But these are meant to be kind of like broken, unfinished, recyclable pieces of story, basically. So I like the idea that like the Joker and Owlman and some of these characters are like, these things are hideous abominations. Even for the Joker, he's like, I don't like it. Nope. This isn't how it is. Nope. Like, there's something kind of interesting about that for me.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to the next question from Jaheen Alam, who asks, why can't the Batman Who Laughs just die already? Wow, people do not like this guy.
Well, I do think it kind of ties to something Matt said, just about oversaturation a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, and sort of thing that happened to Doomsday.
Well, and I mean, I remember even talking to you about sort of the offshoots of metal, like as they came out, and we were talking about like the Batman Who Laughs comic in and of itself, and how it's kind of like it almost acts as a normalizing factor of the character. And as I was saying before, that's the easiest way to like take any kind of terror and unknown out of something that's supposed to be that like viscerally awful, is to just make it a recurring thing.
Yeah. And I mean, it happens to all characters that are presented as the biggest bad, right? It happened to, Bane broke Batman's back, but Bane has been beaten by Batman many times since. Now, that doesn't mean you can't find the threat of that character again. But Doomsday, Bane, a bunch of these characters, at a certain point, you just go like, and now you're just one of the villains. The Batman Who Laughs in metal is terrifying, truly frightening. Batman Who Laughs in his series is like, he's just like, oh great, like, but you're still just one step ahead. He's basically just one step ahead the way the Joker is a step ahead. It doesn't feel worse. And then, sorry, yeah.
No, it's me jumping in, but it's like, well, and there's kind of that allusion to it as well at the end of Metal, which, spoiler alert for anyone who hasn't read it yet listening to the podcast, but like what's so brilliant about the way that comic ends is the way they beat him is Batman has to team up with the Joker, and the explanation there is like, they're going, what the hell? And he's like, it's because at the end of the day, the Batman Who Laughs is still Batman, and it is the one thing, like the one solution that Batman would never think of.
Yeah.
Like, it's the one thing it would just never cross his mind. And they even have that kind of funny moment of like, okay, like never speak of this to anybody sort of thing, like where they're fighting it, but they're both just kind of like, okay, we're just going to pretend that this didn't happen afterwards because this just ruins our dynamic. But for that one fleeting moment, it's just a case of like, no, this thing's truly horrible. And even the Batman Who Laughs, like when he gets it, he's kind of impressed. And I was just kind of like, that's such a perfect capstone on the whole thing. Like, why did you need to like try to make this character more than that?
Well, yeah, and I mean, again, sorry, Matt, mild spoilers ahead for Death Metal. But the Batman Who Laughs not only survives the metal event, sticks around, kind of poisons a bunch of people, makes like a secret six of Dark Multiverse characters that includes like Sky Tyrant version of Hawkman, and he poisons Blue Beetle and Donna Troy and some other characters. But and not only does he then also go up against Lex Luthor and the Legion of Doom and replace Lex Luthor as Perpetua's number 2, he then also, right at the moment where you think that character has ended his run, they implant his brain into the body of a Bruce Wayne from a Dark Multiverse Earth, where he goes into the intrinsic field generator and becomes a Batman Manhattan. So now the Batman Who Laughs brain is in the body of a Dr. Manhattan Bruce Wayne, and he is now referred to as the Darkest Knight. And he's basically just this like black spectral form.
This just feels like
it's too much.
It feels like a Spinal Tap like joke where it's just like, how much more black could you make this?
I mean, they're definitely turning it up to 11.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it just feels like none more Blackest Night.
It's a little, it's crossed over into a little too silly. I think Perpetua is enough of a threat, and even the Batman Who Laughs was enough of a threat without having to do this Manhattan thing to it.
Because it's like at this point,
I think they're doing it because Wally has Manhattan powers, and they're trying to big Wally into like the big hero of.
I just feel like when you add Manhattan's abilities to people, does the other side of that person really even get like you're putting them on the same level? It's just like Batman's just a dude. Like it's like the Batman Manhattan. No, it's just a version of Manhattan. Like the Batman part's really not important at this point. Like
yeah, exactly. I see what you're saying.
You just become Manhattan.
It definitely feels like it has jumped the Bat Shark.
Yes, which hilarious because it's Batman in relationship with sharks.
It didn't even bring the shark spray. Like honestly,
that's so funny.
Yeah, I mean, so would your ideal scenario, Matt, have just been that Batman Who Laughs doesn't make it out of Metal?
I mean, I think I've kind of said this already in this show, but I mean, what I like about the Dark Multiverse is that like it lends itself so well to kind of an anthology format as well. So like, that's a character that in one way I kind of understand keeping him around, because I mean that's a concept that's too good not to keep using.
Yeah.
It is on the one hand, if a good idea ends soon, then we get to remember it as good forever. But by the same token, it's if I came up with that and that excellent design and whatnot, I'd say, like, of course I want to keep using this thing.
Yeah.
But I would have just been happy with like a series of just what did he do before the Metal crossover event, because we see some of that in Metal. You see when he kills the Bat family and assumes his new persona and whatnot. But I mean, I would have just dug, like maybe a collection from different authors. I'll go like, what were the misadventures of the Batman Who Laughs before coming to Earth, or what have you. But I mean, that could have been an idea, and I don't even like I don't even totally hate the Batman Manhattan thing, because like, I mean, at the end of the day, I think we've talked about this before, but comic books are equal parts, awesome and kind of stupid.
Yes, yeah.
It's like there's just a certain balance to walk with that, and yeah, that one's getting into the realm of just a little too far into the stupid side, but but by the same token, like, I don't know, maybe by the end of the event they'll have totally justified it and it makes complete sense. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, on the anthology note, I don't know if you've read any of these, but they have put out some of these things called Tales from the Dark Multiverse, and it's basically
Yes.
them revisiting like certain events. So they did
Yeah.
like a version of the Judas Contract, or a version of Blackest Night, or a version of Infinite Crisis. There are more that are still about to come out. They're going to do one of Crisis on Infinite Earths and one of War of the Gods, and just some of these big events. And that's, I found kind of neat. Like, I think some of the most interesting Dark Multiverse characters are the ones that have come out of those that aren't necessarily Batman.
Yeah.
Like, you get Sinestro as the Limbo Lantern, where he's both the White Lantern and a Black Lantern, so he's alive and dead, and that's in the Blackest Night one. That's kind of a crazy, interesting sort of character. You get like a Lois that gets superpowers after the death of Superman, and that one is sort of neat. Like, you get a Ted Kord who basically merges with Brother Eye and OMAC and becomes like this sort of cybernetic, almost kind of like the Batman murder machine, like the Batman Cyborg one, but that's the version of Infinite Crisis. I think those are some of the most interesting things that came out of the Dark Multiverse, and it's when they're not connected to Batman.
Isn't it crazy that this wasn't created in the 90s?
That's the other thing. I mean, the spirit, the style, like visually, this all comes from Greg Capullo, who obviously he worked on a Batman with Scott Snyder. They have a history of working together. They both have a horror sensibility, but Capullo is a McFarlane guy.
Well,
he's
there you go.
Spawn, right?
Yeah,
Like,
because this is so 90s.
that's his shit, right? It's like, get out the spiky belts.
And that's what I kind of really dug about Metal as well, whereas I was like, okay, they managed to somehow tell like a dark, gritty story without setting out to make it specifically like those key buzzwords of dark and gritty. Like, I don't know, this is... Oh, good.
No, I was just going to say, because like the aesthetic is apocalyptic, and yeah, it's like dark. This is a Batman that killed his family, but it's also, because it's telling this cosmic, very continuity, very comic booky story, it's also so silly. It's like Batman and Superman have to go to the fortress because Batman has a secret room in there with the anti-monitor antenna, and they have to use that in the Phantom Zone projector to push through the Phantom Zone to get to the Dark Multiverse. Like, it's all the silly shit, and then also like, I'm a Bat Joker. Like, it's both of those things.
Well, and the influences are so obvious too, because I mean, like, you take one look at the design of the Batman Who Laughs, and it's like, okay, Greg Capullo really likes some 2000 AD comics, because he straight up Judge Death from those comics.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's true. It's true.
All right, let's go to the next question.
Let's do it.
Comes from Steven Salazar.
Holy shit. Wow.
No.
Talk like that, you'll get right into my chamber of secrets.
Would you believe what I could do with my tongue?
That prince isn't the only thing that's half-blooded right now.
Gross.
Nice. Steven Salazar asks, thoughts on if this had just been a miniseries versus what it is now? And where does this leave DC when it's done? Is this a full restructure? I've been reading all along, and I'm going to be honest, still kind of lost.
I know you were talking about the anthology thing. Do you think that this concept would have worked better as just not continuity, but just its own little thing in a corner somewhere, as opposed to like line wide changing the continuity, big like multiverse ending event?
Yeah.
That's a hard one, because the whole idea that at the end of Metal the source wall is broken, right? And there's just this this whole concept of like, oh, we now have these universes and other things just kind of all pouring in together that were previously inaccessible, that have now been blown wide open because this force we had essentially no way to predict kind of did that. I think that's actually kind of smart in
Yeah.
terms of if they did want to set things up for another big continuity overhaul, because I mean, it's that old creator issue of like, when you've used up everything that you currently have access to, you got to make some new stuff. And as far as some new stuff goes, this was not a bad one at all. So again, I'm not entirely against how this has turned out, and I think it's kind of an interesting concept, but it's also like, I don't know. It's one of those weird things that I think the most I could say about the Dark Multiverse is it simultaneously feels like it's been underused but also used too much somehow.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I agree. I mean, I think by the time we get to the end of Death Metal, I mean, it is not a full reboot. We're not going to get a Flashpoint situation out of this.
Yeah.
Reboot.
But, you know, right now in where we are in Death Metal, there are only like 6 multiverse Earths left. The rest have been destroyed of the 52. So we know
Good riddance, if you ask me.
we know we're going to get a bunch of Earths back, but it might be an opportunity to get just a slightly different version of them, or something like that. I don't think the Source Wall comes back. I think the Source Wall stays gone, but now we have that idea of the omniverse, right? It's a multiverse of multiverses. And the idea that like now you're not restricted to travel just to the 52, right? Now it's like, it's kind of almost that like Silver Age thing where it's like, now we can go to Earth 132B, like over there. I think it just means more doors open. I don't think it means that there's not a multiverse or that you can't say there are 52 worlds, but I think it means that without that hard edge there, you could still go to other places too. Those aren't your only options. You don't have to constantly say like, oh fuck, I wish this was part of our multiverse. Let's get rid of that Earth. Let's make Earth 51 this instead. Like,
Well,
you don't have to keep like fucking with the numbers. You could just add a new one and then you could just keep track of it that way, and I think that's a little easier.
There's no way that could fuck with continuity.
Well, I mean, listen, it's always, something's always going to fuck with it, right? But yeah, that's sort of how I feel about it. Yeah.
What about you, Matt?
This comes to the point where I feel like I'm in way over my head at this point, because I mean, like,
No, we've got DC
one of the
on the line. You need to let them know what to do.
No, I mean, it is one of those things that it always takes me back to what I think is such an issue that, and I'm sure you guys have talked about this more often than not, but what is such an issue for people trying to get into any of this is just, you know, the sheer amount of content there is in these franchises of like, why doesn't this stuff gel with the other stuff? Oh, it's because there's a multiverse where all this different stuff happens and whatnot. Which, like, on the one hand, I really love the artistic freedom that allows for different creators, and I think, you know, blowing open the source wall and making, you know, an omniverse is a great way to do that, because now the sky's the friggin' limit, which is a great thing. But I mean, you know, it's like one of the questions asked. I mean, like, I'm a fan of this stuff, and I'm having a hard time tracking this at this point. Like, I can't imagine someone trying to get into DC Comics right at this moment and trying to understand what the hell is going on.
Well, good thing they've got a
mean,
podcast to listen to.
More than Final Crisis, I would say it would be a mistake to start reading Death Metal if you like don't jump in on Death Metal.
Well, and even as Justice League, I mean, they deal with a lot of the ramifications of the source wall stuff and everything, and same with Justice League Dark and all that other, like all the other series that have come along in the last while. Like, it's weird because, I mean, we have this essential, like, kind of hitting the reset button on Hawkman, which is awesome, and like that series has been fantastic for it. But at the same time, it's like so much of the other stuff, it's kind of just, you know, like, what the hell is a source wall? I could see someone going, if they picked up, you know, the first trade of Snyder's Justice League.
Yeah. I mean, I think, I just, as far as this question goes, I don't think you can expect like, well, we got to learn a whole new continuity at the end of this. I think it'll just like all of the work through Rebirth and that. It's like, let's smooth all of like the stuff that worked in New 52. Let's keep the stuff that worked before that. Let's keep. let's just smooth it together as best we can. I think that's sort of what we're going to get out of the other side of death metal. But if you are interested in the cosmic stuff, that's probably where you're going to see the changes. What does it mean to be part of the Omniverse? Like, what happens if they manage to seal off the Dark Multiverse or something like that? Like, how do they repopulate the multiverse? I think there'll be like opportunities for like the crazy continuity geeks to enjoy some stuff. And I think also, if you're just reading the Flash, it's not like every issue has been like what's happening in death metal. Like, I think you can just keep reading the Flash and it's fine. You know what I mean? Like, I think it seems like they've got an okay approach.
Do you think this is the exact same conversation people had when the multiverse came out? They were like, well, it's just going to give us more opportunity and we don't have to worry about confusion.
All the way back, they're like, okay, Flash 123, the Flash of two worlds. Here's my pitch.
And they're like, it's like, don't worry, this'll smooth out all the confusion.
We'll only have two Earths.
Yeah.
How could we possibly screw this up?
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
All right, let's go to the next question.
Let's do it.
We're leaving Twitter and heading on over to Instagram.
Now we're going to Instagram, take some questions and answer them. Nice.
Couldn't snap, so
that was fucking good.
Should we start a band?
Let's take this on the road.
Hell yeah. We need more things to do together.
He's prepping his beatboxing for the upcoming rap album.
Oh. Oh, you complete me.
I'm Green Lantern and I'm here to say
I'm not throwing light, so I must be gone away.
Oh, I was going to say, it's not blackest night, it's the brightest day.
Oh!
I thought that was going to go somewhere completely different about the Alan Scott Green Lantern, but, you know.
Oh, yeah.
My name is...
They fixed my continuity and made me gay.
I was going to say, my name is Superman, and I just got pink kryptonite, and I'm here to say...
That pink kryptonite, that's the crazy shit ever. Why did they? Why?
The first question from Instagram comes from the thing that my wife calls me in therapy, Cursed Blob. Who asks if the main /
The weirdest part is that it's couples therapy. You're in the room when she says
I know.
it.
Yeah. She's nagging me. I'm totally into it.
Yeah, you little bitch.
Yeah. You know I love you.
I've never heard of you.
God, fucking, you can Don Draper me any day. Aren't I the creative director? Wait a minute. Cursed Blob asks, if the main / first lineup of the Dark Knights were to fight, which one would be the victor? Also, not a question, but DC should release some Robin Parademons plushies. Just saying.
Right. So, the original lineup from Dark Knight's Metal of Dark Multiverse Batman included Batman Who Laughs, who's a Batman who also becomes the Joker. You get the Dawnbreaker, which is a Batman Green Lantern mashup. You get the Red Death, which is Batman and Barry Allen fused into one body in the Speed Force. You get the Merciless, which is Batman putting on Ares' helmet and gaining the powers of the God of War. You get the Devastator, which is a Bat Doomsday. He infects himself with the Doomsday virus and becomes a Doomsday. You get the Drowned, which is a female Batman who surgically alters herself to be Atlantean. And oh shoot, what's the last? Oh, the Murder Machine, which is a Batman,
a thing that I dream is created.
A Batman like uploaded to a software system and becomes this like unstoppable, like logic-based murder robot.
I mean, that's got
who has a bunch of. I was gonna say who has a bunch of AI Alfreds helping him out the whole time.
Yes, he has
as well.
AI Alfreds. That's right. Yeah. So, who wins Battle Royale? That original metal lineup.
I mean, Digital Batman's got to win, right? Like,
you think?
I mean,
the Batman Who Laughs being like kind of like story-wise kind of OP thing aside, I was gonna say like the Merciless. Batman as the God of War.
Yeah.
I mean, a computer has got. I mean, it's potentially like infinite because you're using between like Wi-Fi and like
Oh, you mean you could never kill like the
Yeah.
Ultron thing?
Yeah,
you could never catch
You
it.
could never kill it, and then it's got Batman's brain.
Right. Yeah.
I was gonna say, I think it's down between either the Merciless or the Dawnbreaker, in all honesty, because
Yeah.
I mean, you have the power of like limitless creativity and whatnot, and fused with friggin' Batman, like that.
Yeah.
I don't know
And
that.
There's
Yeah.
something odd about the Dawnbreaker too, where he not only has the Green Lantern ring, but he's broken it, so he can also manipulate darkness. Like he could do
Yeah,
both.
Yeah, fair.
yeah,
Oh, shit.
yeah. Like that, he was one who I definitely thought was probably, I'd argue, was the most underused in the main series, at least as far as I read in Metal.
Yeah.
And I mean, like that's a tough one too, because I mean, there's that old we could bring up the old issue of, you know, they're all kind of Batman, so how much time does each of them have to plan?
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
And I mean, there's even the thing where like, okay, there's a couple you could probably knock out pretty quickly. Like the one that's a hybrid of him and Doomsday is kind of like, all right, they've beaten Doomsday before, you know.
Yeah. Yeah,
You know,
I think that one you maybe meant to think is a heavier hitter than it is.
yeah,
I agree.
and I mean, plus there's like Doomsday is often so much more of a symbolic thing than anything. Like that panel in one of the crises where they mentioned that, like, you know, seeing him walking through the battlefield evokes, like, you know, feelings of like a cape being like, you know, strewn across like a battlefield sort of thing.
Yeah.
But past that, in terms of actual ability, and I mean, like, who am I forgetting? Though, then again, Speed Force Batman, like that was also horrifying.
Yeah. So you're saying Murder Machine.
Yeah.
You're kind of leaning Dawnbreaker.
I think I'm leaning Dawnbreaker. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna say the Merciless. I'm glad that we didn't all just go Batman Who Laughs.
I mean, I don't know if, like, I'm gonna say this as someone who really enjoys the character, lest anyone take my opinion the wrong way here. But I was also, through a lot of the event that I've read of him and whatnot, like, I don't always think they give a great definition of what exactly he does.
Yeah, fair. That's very true. That's a good point.
Like,
yeah.
Like his power in some cases at least seems to be that he's scary and has plot armor, you know. Like,
Yeah, I agree. I mean, that's a big part of it. Yeah, I like our picks. I think those are good.
Nice. Well, let's go to the next question from the most interesting resident.
Andrew Delgado?
Of course, who else? Andrew Delgado.
Fucking nailed it.
Who asks, what Dark Multiverse twists would you put on past big DC moments / events? Bonus points for assigning an appropriate negative numbered Earth to it.
Right. So I talked about some of these tales from the Dark Multiverse. So the idea of in the Blackest Night one is there's a moment in the actual Blackest Night comic where Sinestro goes to basically save the day as the White Lantern. It doesn't work, but then other, like, the Justice League take up the White Lantern mantle and they win. The thing that changes is that Sinestro doesn't give it up, and then they all lose because of it. So that's the shift that sort of kicks off that Dark Multiverse version. So if you have to pick an event or a big moment, how would you twist it to make it like a Dark Multiverse one?
Ooh. I think what I would do, and this isn't a major event in the sense of, like, it's not a crisis, it's not something that rewrites the continuity or anything, but it's one of the most beloved stories in the Batman continuity, and it's one that features characters and especially a pairing that have just gone on to become pop culture legend. I would do Dark Multiverse Mad Love, where Batman is fused with Harley.
Oh, a Bat Harley?
Yeah, where Batman and the Joker are enemies, but also lovers.
Ooh. You have our attention.
As you can see.
Yeah, because I think, like, you take one of the most, like, profoundly fucked up relationships in comic book history, and also one of the most legendary ones. Yes, the team up of the Doctor and producer Richard.
Yeah. What do you mean, producer R?
Shut up, you know I love you.
And yeah, you just add that little twist of it of like, you know, where does that go in terms of like an antagonistic relationship? Like similarly, you could almost draw parallels, I guess, in some ways to like the relationship between Batman and Catwoman at that point.
Yeah.
But like, what if Batman was originally like a therapist who went through this horrible traumatic abuse and then maybe decides to become a crime fighter, but also like they're the person they can't ultimately put away as the person they have that history with.
Oh, interesting. My pitch would be to do a twist on the anatomy lesson from Swamp Thing, which is the Alan Moore issue where he discovers that he's plants that think they're Alec Holland, but it would be like Woodrue cutting him open, making that realization, but the plants already, like Swamp Thing already knew, but Woodrue then finds out, and then the plants like consume him, like it's like a thing where it becomes more like it's the Green has had enough. It's like everything will be plants. So then they like rip apart Woodrue, absorb his consciousness, make a plant Woodrue, and it starts this like plant sort of like takeover of the world where they're like, listen, great, you have some ideas, but you're still meat. We'll make you better. We'll take your thoughts and take you out of your meat and make you one with the Green. And it becomes this like, but Woodrue is more like the hero. He like finds it, and then it's like this sort of kind of growing epidemic of like the Green taking over or something like that.
Jesus.
Yeah.
I would 100% read that.
I think that's my Dark Multiverse one. Do you have one?
I mean, come on. Of course I do.
Okay. All right.
So,
is it the wedding of Aquaman? does that other guy?
Is this a trick? No.
Story is
Barry Allen having to go back and kill kill his mom.
Oh, so like a twist on Flashpoint.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he's got to go. But he has to create a time remnant that's just has to endlessly loop and continuously kill his mom.
Oh, Jesus.
And his dad doesn't get sent to jail, but knows that it's him that kills her.
Oh,
but he can't explain why he has to do it. Otherwise, it'll fuck up the timeline. So his dad just forever thinks that he killed his mom.
Oh, Jesus.
Damn.
That's fucked up.
Emphasis on the dark.
Yeah.
You get what you pay for, baby.
Well, that was... thank you for that. I guess we'll go to the next question.
Yeah, let's go to the next question. Oh, that's right. President's daughter's getting locked up and you need someone to save them. You call Jack Stonewall.
Jack Stonewall.
Oh, yeah.
Dun, 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 dun.
You run out of mortar? Don't worry, you got Jack Stonewall.
We got choppers coming in hot. It's okay. I'm Jack Stonewall. It's legitimately the coolest name.
I mean, yeah, you can't be.
Honestly.
Listen, if we wanted like a late third-party candidate for president, Jack Stonewall.
Jack Stonewall, are you kidding me?
Entire platform is just, come on.
Jack Stonewall, are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah. And yeah, it's like, America has fallen. Only Jack Stonewall can say. And it's just Gerard Butler.
Yeah.
I'm picturing Gerard Butler.
Yeah.
Jack, if you aren't Gerard Butler, I'm a little disappointed.
And
I'm also sorry.
To make you look like Jack, like Gerard Butler.
American Mike.
Jack Stonewall asks, which universe would you like to see a dark reflection of? I'm taking the best one and saying evil Earth 26 Dark Zucru. I mean, that would have been the one I would have chosen. Yeah.
Right. It's Earth 26.
Yeah.
Home of Captain Carrot.
Yeah. I mean, that's
To make a dark multiverse
that is
of them.
the ideal version.
That's pretty grim.
I want the Nazi universe.
Do you know what's funny is like that Earth is destroyed right
Yeah.
now in death metal, but what I really wanted to see was the Batman Who Laughs doing like the Who Framed Roger Rabbit thing, like dipping these characters in like the whatever it is, the fucking ooze,
The dip.
the dip. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
I kind of wanted that, and I was like, that was a missed opportunity.
Totally.
All right, Matt. What's a twisted version of an Earth you would want to see? Wait, you said you wanted to see a further twisted Nazi Earth?
Did you?
More twisted than
It
Nazis?
took you that long.
Well, normally you say Nazi, and I just breeze by it. If I had to stop every time you said Nazi,
We'd never leave here. So twisted.
so what's more twisted than being Nazis?
I mean, there's some people we could ask that right now.
Yeah,
Probably
yeah.
have some
Yeah, let's
real
get
strong
political.
opinions on what's worse.
You're pitching the Trumpiverse.
Yeah, the Proud Boy verse.
Oh God, so much dried cum stains everywhere.
Are you just talking about this office?
Matt, what do you think? Is there an existing Earth you want to see a twisted version of?
Yes, because I absolutely know all of the Earths off the top of my head, like the doc does.
Just describe
and
it. Describe it slowly.
you know what I want. I'll describe it nice and slow for you.
Yeah.
Do
Um,
it too small. Do it very slowly.
very slowly. I want Dark Multiverse DC meets Looney Tunes.
Oh shit! Yeah, because they did all those Looney Tunes crossovers.
Yeah,
Like the Batman Elmer Fudd one, and pretty sure they did like
Bugs
Catwoman,
Bunny
Black
meets Legion of
Canary with, like,
Superheroes.
Sylvester and Tweety and stuff like that.
Yeah, like Bugs Bunny meets Legion of Superheroes. What was the other one? Like there was Yosemite Sam versus Jonah Hex. Like some other stuff. But yeah, get like let's have like what is a hybrid of like an evil Batman with Bugs Bunny.
Yeah, I like that a lot. I mean, I don't know that I'm pitching. I don't think I'm pitching a different Earth, like a parallel Earth. But I would like to see some Dark Multiverse 31st century. Like, I want to see some Legion of Superheroes twists. I think it's very easy to forget about the Legion because they're so far in the future. They're sort of so removed. But I think it'd be neat to see stuff there where, Brainiac 5 lives up to the name of his ancestors or something like that. Or,
Yeah.
like I think there'd be some interesting stories to be told there.
Ooh, Earth 11.
And then you add in
Yeah, Earth 11 is the
Matriarchal.
gender swapped Earth.
That would be fun.
Yeah. Well, Earth minus 11 is where that the drowned comes from. The Bryce
yeah,
Wayne.
yeah. I'd love to see more from that. Then that
Yeah.
would be really cool.
That would be a cool one.
I like that. Or the Earth 13, the Vertigo.
Earth 13 is not strictly Vertigo. Earth 13 is it's like a magical. It's where the super demon is. It's like Etrigan is launched from the planet Camelot to Earth. I mean, it's sort of like a hybrid Superman and Etrigan story, and then you get like Ragman, the Hellblazer, Anataz, all of these.
Oh, you know what'd be weird is like the Bizarro world, like
right. Yeah, what does it mean to be twisted? But in Bizarro, like they're actually better. They're nicer.
Yeah,
a Dark Multiverse Bizarro is better at his job.
it's like a negative.
He's saving more people.
Yeah. He's just Superman. It just becomes like the normal Earth.
Yeah.
They cancel each other out.
That's a funny idea. I like that.
Yeah. All right. Let's go to the next question.
Okay.
Comes from. Oh, we gotta leave. Sorry, we have to leave Instagram. We gotta go head over to email.
Check the email.
Last question. Oh wait, is this true? No. Hold on. I need to hold on.
This is all good stuff.
Yeah. Well, Vamp. I love. You're supposed to be good at this.
Oh God.
Oh, that was the last question.
This is-
Never mind.
That was the last
That was
question.
the last question.
Oh wow. Holy shit.
This is some
Come
real
on.
professional shit. Emphasis on the shit.
Hey,
Listen, you came back 3 times.
I can edit you out, motherfucker.
Yeah, that'll make this feel more smooth. A bunch of half conversations.
The Garfield minus Garfield of podcasts.
Oh God. Yeah, the Chief O'Brien at work.
Well, you know what time it is?
Yeah, I do actually.
You're gonna play everyone's favorite game.
That's right.
Can you guess the name of the character based on who someone who does not read comic books can describe that character to us?
Nice. Well done.
Fucking seamless.
So good.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So if you don't know, the rule of this game is I send a photo of a character from DC to my wife. She sends back 4 clues of how she sees them. And we try to figure out who she's talking about. I know who it is, but The Doctor and Chicken Maddie do not.
That's right.
So I will start giving the clues.
You can guess as many times as you want. You can wait for more clues.
But the more you're wrong, the more I'll make fun of you. So enter at your own risk.
All right.
First question. First clue. Fucking every time. Powerful thighs and a weird looking face.
The Doctor.
Sorry?
The Doctor.
You got it. You got
Listen,
powerful thighs.
Listen, thick thighs save lives.
Yeah, they do.
You want to high fives these thighs. Okay. Powerful thighs and a bad face.
Yeah.
Weird looking face.
Weird
I think
looking
he said.
face. Big thighs, weird looking face.
Hmm.
Wrong and strong.
Wrong and strong. Right. Okay. Grundy.
No.
Okay.
Clue number 2.
All right.
Has a Batman Begins costume issue.
Oh,
Okay.
interesting. Batman Begins costume issue. And I know what
Can't
that
move
means,
around in
but
it?
now I'm
I think it's can't move around too well in it.
like can't turn your head, like you got
Yeah.
the neck thing. Do you have a guess for this one?
Hell no.
Thick thighs, weird face, can't move a head.
Is it Dark Side?
No. I like where your head's at.
That's a very good guess. Oh no, that's the opposite. Never mind. I was gonna say Hector Hammond, but he has no thighs. I don't know. I need the next.
Okay. Wow, wrong and strong. Jeez.
Well, I said one, but I was way wrong. I was wrong to the point where even I knew it.
All right. Clue number 3. Must be modest. They don't have flesh, yet they wear a bikini bottom.
No flesh, but bikini bottom. So they're made of metal or rock or something else.
Things that aren't
I
flesh.
just feel like this is
That's a
like I feel like this is Skeletor. You know, like
Skeletor. Oh fuck.
Yeah.
I mean Skeletor perfectly.
That's right. You got me.
yeah.
Oh fuck. Okay.
Oh man. No flesh. Wears a bikini bottom.
Can't move too well. Thick thighs.
Weird looking face.
Weird looking face. I'm actually upset it wasn't Dark Side. That would have been a really good one.
Yeah, like
You're on the right track, though.
Okay.
like just a parademon? I don't know.
Is it,
No.
Light Ray?
No.
Okay.
You want the last one?
I do.
Seems like they have a negative personality.
Oh. Is it the Anti-Monitor?
It is! Pow pow! Ding 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 ding!
Wow. That was a good one. That
Yeah.
was fun.
Wow. You're unstoppable.
Holy shit. Well, that was tough. I had to work for that one.
Jeez.
Wow.
Man, like see now I'm just Googling pictures of the Anti-Monitor. I'm kind of like, I don't know if I agree with this, but I'm like, nope, it's all there. it's all completely there.
Never wrong. I mean, that's the thing.
Yeah.
This is the version I showed her.
Yeah. I mean, that's it.
No,
Well,
can't argue.
Holy shit.
She did put a clue in there that was like has some weird rash on their stomach. I'm like, that's more of an art choice than it is a.
Oh, right. Yeah. But nice. Holy shit. Well, that was great. Matt,
Thank you so much.
thank you for coming back. Thank you for buying dozens of books and reading a bunch of shit about the Dark Multiverse.
Yeah, it was awful. I did it entirely for you. I should be getting paid for this shit at this point.
Could you imagine if we were doing that to guests? We were like, but before you come on, we really need you to read all of this.
Also,
and then we talk around it for 40 minutes. And then it's like, okay, guys, that's it. No, thanks. Do you have anything to plug?
also, it needs to be paperback. Otherwise,
Oh, yeah. Digital's not good enough.
no.
I'm expecting notes.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll be posting all of Matt's annotated versions of these books. Yeah, thank you so much for coming on talking Dark Multiverse.
Do you got anything to promote or anywhere people can talk to you online?
Yeah, so I'm on pretty much most social media platforms at the Overmat, like the Overlord, except my name. I currently.
I'm glad you have such a low opinion of yourself.
Yeah, exactly. I'm the most humble. It's my best feature. I actually these days I do video game reviews for the website indiegamereviewer.com. So
Nice.
I'll send you guys a link to post up for that.
Oh, yeah.
And you can check out some of my work under the same title that I just gave. And on top of that, I actually want to plug something not for myself, but for someone else who I think
we don't allow that.
You're breaking up.
I'd like to plug my own personal sponsor. No. No,
That would be impressive.
That would be such a power move to guest
yeah.
on a show and then have your own sponsor.
That's incredible.
Well, I mean, especially after you guys got the attention of my favorite comics creator no less than 2 weeks ago, or a week ago or something, and then like I'm sure enough it's right before I come back on. So yeah, you want to talk power moves, but
Yeah, that's right.
Don't worry. Gail Simone never listened to the podcast.
Oh,
Or
God.
she's listening right now.
Right now.
Gail, if you're listening to this, I love you. Like
Robbie,
you're the
this
best,
guy.
honestly. But no, what I was going to say is a good friend of mine and a former professor of mine, actually from the same university I met the doc at. His name is Andrew DeMann. He is literally the man, and he actually runs a Twitter account called the Claremont Run, which is this big academic project he's doing right now, specifically on the Chris Claremont run of X-Men. And I know it's not a DC property. I understand I'm breaking the rules here, but
somebody else's podcast, and it's not DC.
I mean, I'm not that concerned.
Not
with
even.
cut all this out.
That's fair.
Oh yeah, of course. But yeah, I think the listeners would really enjoy it because Chris Claremont's run on X-Men really had a profound impact on the comic book industry going forward in a lot of big ways. And anyone who enjoys like informational stuff on just superheroes in general owes it to themselves to check that comic, to check out that.
Kyle, I know you're not listening, but I think we found the exact right thing for you.
Fuck.
Yeah, that sounds
I'm
awesome.
sure I'll end up guesting on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah, like I said, that's at Claremont Run on Twitter. You can also just look up the Claremont Run on Google, and it should be the first thing that comes up. But I recommend everyone check it out.
That's awesome. I just want to take this opportunity to say to anybody listening right now, if you're ever guesting on a podcast, you just want to randomly plug us.
Oh,
more than welcome to do that.
That's worth 2 reviews.
This is a great idea, and I'm stealing it.
Yeah, that's worth 2 reviews.
Yeah. You know what the problem there, though, is that I like being invited back to things, which is why I don't do that.
Interesting.
But he does it on this one. Wait a minute.
Yeah. Well, thank you again for joining us.
Yeah, dude. Thanks so much.
Oh, thanks for having me, guys. Always a pleasure.
All right, I'll talk to you later.
Talk to you later.
Bye. All right. Well, if you want to review our podcast and talk about us online,
Yeah.
you can do it through a bunch of social media platforms we've got.
That's right.
Or can you send a question in for next week, or are we pre-recording that already?
All of DOCTOBER is basically pre-recorded.
Fair.
So you probably already sent your questions in.
Yeah, good for you.
But next
And
week,
if you didn't, what the fuck?
yeah, you idiots. But next week we're talking about mad science.
Ooh.
She blinded me with science.
Blinded with science.
She blinded me.
With science?
But yeah, so keep that stuff coming because we're plowing through DOCTOBER.
Ho, ho, ho. Happy Halloween. If you want to give us festive wishes online, you can do through our Facebook,
Dr. DC Podcast,
Twitter,
at Dr. DC,
Instagram,
Dr. DC Podcast,
email,
drdcpodcast@gmail.com,
Reddit.
/Dr_DC.
Tis the season to call us on the doc phone.
208-917-3238.
Maybe under the mistletoe you'll find our website.
drdcpodcast.com or .ca. You fucking maniac.
And give us reviews, baby.
Yeah, keep them coming. We're well over 100 now.
Talk about our podcast on other podcasts.
Yeah. So keep sending them in. If it's not on iTunes or Facebook, just make sure to take a screenshot and send it to us so that we know that you did it.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
And if you want even more content from us, we have a Patreon.
Patreon.com/DrDC. $5 a month level, $7 a month level. You get a full bonus episode every single week, no matter what your level is. But then there's also extra bonus stuff, video episode every week. You get to help pick episode themes, all sorts of fun stuff that's happening over there. There's over 100 bonus episodes over there. So there's lots of stuff to catch up on.
$5 is never going to get you more than that.
Yeah, exactly. Except for next month when there's 4 more episodes than that.
And then $5 then
you could then sign up. But sign up now. Don't wait.
Yeah, don't wait.
Damn it. Shit. God, shit, you fucking idiot. God damn it.
And if you want
had them, you were right fucking there.
And if you're tired of this superhero and comic book garbage, well, we've got another podcast for you.
Yeah, check out Ghost Facers, a supernatural rewatch. Anywhere you get your podcasts, we are rewatching every single episode of Supernatural. We talk about behind the scenes stuff. We dig into real world monster lore that's related to the episode. And it's a ton of fun.
We thirst over Dean. It's a thing that I've been noticing on a lot of those fucking Instagram pages. There's a whole bunch just dedicated to Sam, and I'm like, who are you kidding? What are you doing?
Listen,
do you have to be?
They're all bots.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Created by Jared Padalecki.
Oh, I would say Russia, but...
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of those.
Sam Winchester, favorite brother.
Yeah, that's how you know that it's not a true account. It gets that wrong. Classic hunk, Sam Winchester.
Sam Winchester, badass, thin, too thoughtful.
God, they don't get it at all. All right, that's it for this week.
Adios.
Ciao, ciao.
Heroes, they always fight for what is right. Live with danger and adventure, they are men of might.
This was a Brain Freeze podcast.